What's up everyone, I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape From Tarkov video. In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the early game mods you can get for your weapons in Escape From Tarkov. The mod system is incredibly complex. There's a ton of them. It can be a little confusing. So we're going to go through some of the ones that you can get pretty early on in the game that can make a pretty big difference in how your weapons handle. So we're going to dive into that. I stream Escape From Tarkov a few days on Twitch. All my links will be down below. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So we'll just work our way through the traders, not all of them because not all of them sell weapon attachments, but we'll work our way through and talk about some of them. I'm going to keep all of them to either level 1 or 2 traders because these are what I would consider like early game mods, stuff that you can get. It's not very hard to get the traders to level 2, and so we'll just stick with level 1 and level 2. So at Purport level 1, the PSO is a pretty nice optic. It's a 4x optic. There's a few different types that all basically just have different reticles, but for the most part, they're the same. You can straight up buy one of the variants for just under 19,000 rubles. You can also barter 2 spark plugs for one as well. So that can be kind of nice. The other one that I wanted to mention is the Polymer AK-100. And this is a really cheap 1,400 rubles. I mean, really, really cheap. And you can put this on just about any AK, and it's got a rail on the bottom so you can put a hand grip or a foregrip, and it's got a small rail on the side so you can put like a laser or something like that on. So this can be super helpful. It's really cheap if you find a foregrip in raid or a laser or a flashlight or something. Just those two things, putting a laser and a foregrip on can a lot of times help a lot with reducing recoil or adding ergonomics or stuff like that. So that's another one. Over here at Purport level 2, you've got the Cobra sight, which is it's an early on like red dot optic you can get. It actually reduces recoil by 1%, which is a fun fact. But we don't use these very long, but it's something you can get early on, under 10,000 rubles. And level 1, you can get the dovetail version that only fits on weapons with the dovetail. So like a SKS with a dovetail or an AK with a dovetail, something like that. Same with the PSO, by the way. These only fit on weapons with a dovetail mount. So a dovetail mount, you can see like a lot of these weapons don't have it in here. So there's nothing right here. And it's basically just a mounting system that sits on the AK. So the AKS 74UN has one, and that's this right here. So if you see a weapon, some full-size AKs don't have them. Some full-size AKs do have them. Some SKSs don't have them. Some of them do. Some even like shotguns have them, like the Saiga. The SVD has one. So a lot of weapons can have them, but you can see visually here. You can't buy weapons from Purport level 1 that have them, but you can find them on scavs all the time. So the PSO and then the Cobra from level 1 is only for the dovetail. This you can put on anything, that it can just mount onto. You can buy another PSO. Another thing is the Mosin optic, which is a 3.5x PU scope. I actually really, really like this optic. A lot of people, it's kind of like you love it or hate it. It's a 3-part thing. You've got the actual scope, you've got the ring mount, and then over here you've got the mount that fits onto the Mosin that you can put it all onto. So it's a 3-part thing there, but you can put all that on, and that's awesome if you've been collecting Mosins that you can find from scavs or just buying them. Another is the recoil pad, which is 3,400 rubles, and this just reduces the recoil of like most AKs by 5%, adding a little bit of ergonomics, and that just sits right on the regular buttstock of a lot of the AKs. This is super huge for me. I bet there's almost no reason once you get level 2 proper to not have one of these on your AK. It's just free recoil reduction. They're really cheap. They're you can only buy 8 per 3 hours, but we don't normally have to run into that too often, but this is a great addition to a weapon. And then the other notable one here at Purport level 2 is the TT01 rear sight weaver adapter. So the thing is with these early game weapons, it's all about trying to get an optic on. I am not very good with iron sights. I think iron sights, they can be useful, and I've seen a lot of people be really proficient with them, but I know a lot of people are trying to get red dots or optics onto their weapons as early as possible. This is really nice. So this replaces the rear sight. So you can actually take that off, you put this on, and you can put a red dot on right here. So that's super nice. They're cheap as well, 3,000 rubles, just under 3,000 rubles. And you can put most red dots on there, like a PK06 or something like that, if you find those. So that can be super helpful as well. You don't have to like mod the gun much or like take other parts off the gun to make it compatible. You just pull the rear sight off, you put this rear sight on, and you can put the red dot right on there. So that's super nice. So moving on to skier level 1 does not have a whole lot. Basically the only two things is he does sell the NC Star tactical blue laser. This is a really bright laser. It's blue, so if you like using lasers to help with that point fire accuracy, this is awesome. I use these lasers all the time, but they're very bright, very easy to see. So know that from the opposite end of your enemy, you might be able to see that laser and know, you know, what you're up to. But it's right here at level 1, and it's not very expensive, which is nice. The other one at level 1 skier would be the Ultimac M1B. This is kind of the opposite if you of the other kind of foregrip that we talked about. So the other one allowed you to put a handguard. The other one allowed you to put a foregrip on. This basically allows you to put a red dot on. The red dot's going to sit farther up the gun, so it's going to be a little bit farther away from your vision. But this is a cheap, once again, from level 1, really cheap, 2,400 rubles, a way that if you found a few red dots or if you bought some and you want to put it on like an AK, these fit with almost all the AKs, you can replace the handguard there and put an optic on. It limits you to, you're not able to put a foregrip on, but if you're just looking for ways to put optics on your gun, that's something that you can do as well. Moving over to skier level 2. Skier level 2 kind of opens up quite a bit. You've got a 2.5 times optic, and then a mount that allows you to mount it on your guns. You've got a few different optics here: the OKP7, the Weaver, the burst fast fire. These are nice. This is when it opens up. Skier level 2 opens up quite a bit for optics and for foregrips now that you can buy them. They've actually moved some of these around. The RK1, which used to be here, is now level 3. The RK1 is nice because it was 4% recoil reduction and a little bit of ergo, and it was level 2, but they moved that. So now the RK4 gives you 2% recoil and some ergo, or if you're just looking for ergo, the RK6 gives you 9 and no recoil reduction, and then some of these other ones give you a little bit of both. But it's something. It's still something as far as foregrips. You've got a few optics. It's your first access to night vision as well, which is nice. Night vision, a lot of people think is insanely expensive. 31,000 rubles isn't that bad. You have to get the mounting system as well, but it's not that bad. The RP1 is just 1 recoil, and it fits on just about every single AK and even a bunch of other weapons. It's just a charging handle. You don't need it, but you can just slap it on and get a little bit of free recoil, or free ergonomics. It also opens up these Zenit parts here, so you can get the adapters. So this allows you to adapt to put other buttstocks on AKs. So the AK-74, there's 2 different ones, and then the AK-S series weapons, and then the non-S series weapons. But just know that these allow you to put some other buttstocks on, like the Zenit PT1, which is a nice buttstock. 44% recoil reduction and 8 ergonomics, so that is really nice. And then these same things allow you to attach once you get to level 3, like the PT3 or other stuff like that. So you can do that. And then the AKMs also have their own adapter, the lock right here, that you can add some other buttstocks to. So that's kind of nice. That's when you get, it's a little bit more expensive because you pay for the lock, then you pay for the buttstock, which can be a little pricey, but it can, once again, as you level these guys up, more and more recoil reduction. It also gives you the DTK1 compensator is nice, 7% recoil reduction, and you can throw this on just about any AK, the RPKs as well. So that's another thing. Level 2, it's cheap. So there really is a lot to modding weapons in the early game. They're not meta, but they can definitely lower the recoil, add some ergonomics, and help you out. So that's about it from, the other thing is the Bastion. This is huge. This is huge. So it used to be that you didn't really use stuff like this to attach optics, but they're moving away from the old way, and this is huge. So skill level 2 is a Bastion. This is the dust cover. You can just replace the dust cover on, once again, almost every single one of the AKs, the full size ones. And you can put now optics here and even much bigger optics on than just red dots or small stuff like that. The Bastion is huge. It is cheap, 6,000 rubles. And then you can really, and it pulls the optic back closer to you where you kind of want it. A lot of people like it further up. I like the optic as far back, close to my eye as possible. And this allows you to do that. So moving on to to Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper level 1 also doesn't have too much. A few optics like the aim point and the burst fast fire. Not a whole lot going on here as far as attachments. At level 2, some things open up. You can get a few suppressors, the MP5 suppressor, 9mm suppressor, not a whole lot of super useful ones. The Hybrid 46 is pretty nice. It's expensive though, but level 2 definitely opens up a lot more optics. I'm falling in love with the RMR this wipe. The RMR is really nice. The EOTech I've used a lot. The MRS is something that a lot of people use. Another thing to mention is the X400 tactical flashlight. What's great about this is that it's a flashlight and a laser combo, and you can switch between the flashlight, the laser, both if you want. Relatively inexpensive, and you can put that on, which is awesome. And that's pretty much it. Like we said, some suppressors, some other random attachments like mounts and risers and stuff like that. But the suppressors, some of the handguards, and the optics are pretty nice. Moving over to mechanic, they added this. So I believe that Peacekeeper 2 has this, but Mechanic 1 has it. I'm waiting to mention until here. The MK12 gas block. Now, this is something that they moved to an earlier level, which is great because specifically in this case for the ADAR. So the ADAR has really big front sight. And if you put a red dot on your ADAR, a lot of times you're looking through the red dot and you see the front sight because it sticks up really high and you're not sure where to shoot or if they line up, and they don't line up oftentimes. So it's just super weird. So they gave you this. The reason you couldn't take that front sight off is because it's a front sight and gas block, the one that comes on like a stock ADAR. So you can't remove the front sight without removing the gas block, and you can't use the weapon without a gas block. So this is pretty cheap, 5,000 rubles, and you can replace the gas block and then put an optic on an ADAR because the ADAR comes with the rail on it. If you find an optic, a red dot, you can just put it right on an ADAR, but a lot of times it would interfere with that. So this is a huge thing for level 1 mechanic. Right on day 1, if you start finding ADARs and finding some optics laying around, you can buy this and make it usable, which is super nice. You also get a flashlight. This is 18,000 rubles, so it's pretty expensive. But if you like using flashlights to search dark areas or try to blind players, you can buy that here for 18,000 rubles. It's pretty nice. And then level 2, you get access to a few more suppressors and some barters for some suppressors. Like the Silencer Co is great for like a PP19 or other 9mm weapons. The Hybrid 46 barter. A few things. Once again, suppressors, there's not a whole lot of suppressor options early on, and especially for bigger calibers, but you do get a few from mechanic level 2. And then the other thing to note from him is the Dynacomp, which removes 8% recoil, and it works for the 7.62 AKs, which I don't have any in my stash right now. So not the 5.45 ones, the 7.62 ones, but that's a pretty nice break for that. Other than that, you've got a bunch of just miscellaneous stuff like pistol grips and Glock slides and stocks. A lot of this stuff you might need for like gunsmith tasks or something like that. But the notable ones there are just access to a few other suppressors and the Dynacomp here. Moving on finally over to Yeager. Level 1 Yeager, he also has the Cobra, which is a barter. And then he also has the Cobra mount, which allows you to, once again, any one of the weapons that has a dovetail attachment, you can put this on and you can put like a flashlight or a laser here and an optic on top, and it's wider so you can put some of the bigger optics like a Valde or something on. So that can be pretty nice. The PLAD scope is a newer addition. It's actually kind of nice. It's just a 4x scope. In my opinion, it's got a really clean reticle, and this is the mount that you put it on. The scope mount for it is just for the VPO 215 that you can buy. So you could probably put this on like a bigger gun, but you wouldn't be able to put it on some of those smaller attachments because it needs the bigger mount. But the PLAD scope is relatively inexpensive, and if you like 4x optics, it's pretty awesome in my opinion. And then at level 2, the big thing here is the PK06. Now, this is like widely regarded one of the best red dots in the game. It's one of the most used red dots in the game. They're pushing it farther back. It used to be able to get access to it easier. Yeager level 2 is one of the hardest ones to get to level 2 because you have to do quests for mechanic to even unlock Yeager, and then some of Yeager tasks can be weird. And they made it pretty expensive, 36,000. So basically just under 40,000 rubles for the PK06. But if you've been playing Tarkov and you know it and you love it and you're wondering where it's been, it's moved to the Yeager level 2. And then a few other mounts and a few other like optics, like the TAC 30, the bigger optics you can barter for the Night Force here, and then some of those mounts as well. Another kind of honorable mention is the Monstrum compact scope. This is a 2x scope. And a lot of people, this is one of the newer edition as well. And a lot of people have really fallen in love with this. It's not super magnified, but it's not a red dot. So if you're good at point firing and you want just a little bit more zoom, the 2x here is pretty great. So that's about it. That's my kind of breakdown of some of the notable level 1 and level 2 trader attachments for weapons. Now, like we said, there's a ton here, and maybe some of your favorite ones weren't mentioned here. If so, drop them down below so other people might be able to check those out. But I hope that this helped. Looking at these menus can be even not the full ones. Just looking at some of these level 2, level 1 menus can be pretty confusing, and there's a lot to look at here and a lot that people don't ever use. So some useful things can get lost in translation there. So I hope that this helped and maybe brought out a few things that you didn't know existed or could help you out in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you all so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you have any questions or if there's anything I missed, please drop a comment down below and even put something down there if there's any guides you'd like to see me make here in the future. I'm always trying to create content that helps shorten the learning curve of Escape from Tarkov and gets you and your raids having fun as soon as possible. If you liked the video, drop a like or subscribe to the channel. That would be super helpful if you want more content like this. And again, I stream Escape from Tarkov a few days a week. My Twitch link is down below. The Discord is a great place to get connected with other people who play the game, and if you're looking for help or just looking for people to run some raids with. But thank you again for stopping by, and I will see y'all on the next one.